Now, there isn't any physical dilemma that we can say there's no hope of recovery. That may be what the doctor said, but it isn't what Dr. Jesus said. He said, surely he hath borne, lifted up, carried off, and removed to a distance the entire weight of my grief, sickness, weakness, distress. Grief, sickness, weakness, distress, pain, sorrow. Does that cover the whole gamut of everything you experience when your toe hurt? You think that's funny, but it isn't funny. I had toe surgery, and it was the nicest thing I ever did for myself. And whatever you do by divine unction. You do because God is moved, because God has spoken. If he had said no toe surgery, I'd have limped on and continued to believe. I am not a flip-flop wearer. I like flip-flops, but when I put them on, I say, no. No, I can't do it. I don't know why I can't do it. I was raised in loafers. In my day, there wasn't a tennis shoe on the market. I remember seeing my first tennis shoe. Are y'all that old?
Yep.
And I went, oh, what is that? My neighbor had colored tennis shoes, kids. I never will forget it. We had loafers. And flip-flop was totally beyond my vision, beyond my imagination, and I wear them some. But when I had my toe surgery, I thought they were wonderful. Wonderful. The minute I put my shoe on, my whole body said, no, this is not happening. But I recovered very, very quickly, and it was ordained of the Lord that I have the toe surgery. If God had said no toe surgery, everything I do medically, I'm going to check with the great physician first and make sure that's the plan. And that's very important, that you stick with the plan. See, there are people who are alive today because they followed God's plan. And there are people I could tell you about who went to heaven because they missed the plan. Being in the center of the will of God. That's where hope comes from. That's where expectation comes from. Hope always has the perspective of heaven. She said, there's no hope of that. There's no hope that I can have sons and you'd wait for those sons. If these girls are in their 20s, they'd been in Bethlehem, they'd been in Moab 10 years, so they may have been closer to 30, and they're going to wait for her next sons, supposing that she's able to have sons, and they're going to be 50. And she said, there's no hope you're going to do that, and there's no hope I can have more sons. There's no hope I can help you. In other words, find the plan. Move on, find the plan. Now, you remember in Acts 16. See, if you have no hope, you got on the wrong shoes, baby. We went to the Amaryllis farm. It's no longer open, so you don't have to ask me where it is. It's closed. We went every year and bought more amaryllis. My mother grew amaryllis. She got them from my grandmother, and she had several hundred. We moved them when we sold the house. We sold the house without the amaryllis. That was a force. They knew that. And then over the years, we bought many. I don't know how many we have, 100, 150, 200. Only half of which bloom. Well, what happens to the others that don't bloom? See, if nothing's working for you, you have to know what's happened here. So Wayne and I talk about it. I said, did they get enough water? Did you fertilize them? What's wrong here? Because by his stripes, I'm healed. That's my expectation. That's my goal. What things soever you desire, whatever your goal is. Said God will give you. He will cause in you certain desires. He will give you the desires of your heart. And when he gives you that desire and you cling to that desire and realize that desire has already been fulfilled through the death and resurrection of our Lord, because faith and hope are dependent on one another. Hope by itself, well, that wouldn't be any fun if you're hoping for a big lunch and it doesn't ever happen. Or you're hoping for a housekeeper. Let's have a memorial moment for the housekeeper. And it doesn't ever happen. Hope has to happen. The only reason hope happens is because it already was paid for.